Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jason Curtis. I'm phoning from South Africa to do an interview with Kylie Minogue.
Hi, yeah.
Is that you?
Maybe 1 minute.
Thank you.
Jason.
Yes, that's me.
Hi, it's Kylie.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm not too bad, thanks. I must admit it's a pleasure to actually speak to you. I've been following your career, I think, since it began. We are almost of
My God, such stamina.
Well, we are actually the same age, so you see it's
Really?
Yeah, so there you go.
You know, it's a real pleasure at this time in my career that I do speak to a lot of people who are around the same age as me and coming from starting out pretty young, and I was always the youngest to everything, I was always a child, and I always thought, everyone else knows better and they're all older than me and all of that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You see.
And now it's on a far more understanding level, so it makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Great. I have to sort of ask, obviously, 6 albums, you were a PWL giant, you were pushed from pillar to post. Where would you want yourself to sort of fit into the scheme of things now, especially with the new album?
Now? I haven't quite reached where I'd like to be. So as soon as I've done something, I expect more of myself.
Which is good.
And then I will do more, and then I'll expect more of myself. It's probably, I don't know, most performers are kind of trapped in that as well, which what keeps you doing it. I guess to make a comparison to those days, it's just most working positions I find myself in, it's a lot more equal. It isn't about being pushed around anymore, and I mean, it hasn't come to the other extreme where I'm pushing other people around saying do this, do that, and then they're all following my instructions.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with people, and they encourage me to be creative and trust myself, as is the case with this album.
What do you actually intend for the album? What would you like to see come of it?
I'm sorry?
With the new album, what would you like to see happen with the album as far as its success?
Success-wise, I'm not sure. I'm trying to kind of keep that all those calculations out of mind, because I have to measure success in a different way. If I was to measure it the same as the old days, I would probably go mad, because then it was just ridiculous record sales, number ones after number one after number one, and it was kind of it's not. I can't keep that up,
Sure.
There's other people who've taken over that kind of role, but I can still be very successful in another way, with chart positions and sales and everything. But what will make this album more of a success to me is that people accept it for what it is,
Sure.
and that is that it's a big step forward for me.
Absolutely.
And they're accepting of the songwriting and enjoying the songs, and can get a glimpse of or more of an understanding of who I am and where I am at this point in my life. Because everything I've written about is a reality. It's something that, it's like a diary of that, or different moments in that 2-year period of my life.
Right.
And so far it's worked. I mean, I've been really pleased because people they're reading into the songs. Everyone will interpret them in their own way,
Yes,
but
sure.
there is an understanding which is so fulfilling, I can't begin to tell you.
Which is great.
Because it's my first time doing it this way. It's brilliant.
Yeah, was that sort of daunting for you at all? Actually taking it on and doing it yourself?
Surprisingly, no, I don't think so. When we started working on the album, I started with Brothers in Rhythm as it was the logical place to start, with Confide in Me being the kind of place you wanted to pick up and take off from.
Sure.
And I guess in a minor way, it was a little daunting just bringing in lyrics and you know, I'm sure there was a few times where I would hand over lyrics or go through them and be kind of faffing about the place going, oh, well, you know, it's nothing. I mean, well, if you don't like it, I just wrote it last night. There might not be any good, you know, just trying to make every excuse in case I look stupid.
Sure.
But I went in with the notion or the understanding that this might work, it might not work, but I have to give it a try. And as it turned out, it did work, and I found it very easy and at the same time very challenging.
Right.
And it was something that was a big lesson for me in that it, with the lyrics themselves, they could be final on paper. It wasn't about anyone else judging them or them being then put into the form of a song and was it musically correct or all of those. Me putting words to paper with just about all of them, some more strongly than others, but I don't know if it's the same for you as a writer. Maybe you're doing something for a magazine and the editor will come in and chop and change this and that's, you kind of accept it. But if you've written something that's very personal, you close the page and go, that's great.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted to say. That's off my chest. It has its own life, and that's something that I learned through the process of this album.
Absolutely. And I think to say when I'm looking back at obviously in the last 2 years as well, the people that you've actually worked with, from Nick Cave to the likes of Manic Street Preachers, approaching you and giving you lyrics. I mean, that must have been was that sort of a form of recognition that you were still as vital.
Yes, especially with Nick, because I've spent a lot more time with him. We've done quite a few concerts together. I've performed at his shows. He came and performed at a festival I played at.
Yes.
So I do have a greater connection to him. And also, well, in the case with both of them, it had been a few years prior that they had been thinking of working with me, so it wasn't as if all of a sudden it was a gimmick for them to do.
Sure.
I know that I remember years before, a couple of different people had passed on messages from Nick Cave saying that he was interested in doing a song with me, and I was just, I hate to admit, very naive, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't know the magnitude of the icon that is Nick Cave, the god that he is.
Yes.
So I was very blasé, and I thought, oh well, I guess he'll contact me if he wants to do something. And turns out, 5 years down the line, he's made an incredible difference in my life, not just professionally, but just as a person. He's so genuine, and I don't think Nick would waste any words with me. Anything he expresses to me or encourages me to do has always been right. And I really, it's a nice relation because I do look up to him.
Sure.
But at the same time, I know that there is a space where there's a very equal respect, even though he's done so much more than I have.
Sure.
But he's not swayed by what's popular or what's not popular. He's just true to himself, and the fact that he's taken me so much to heart is endlessly inspiring for me.
Sure. And I mean, the big thing to me is that obviously a lot of artists that were around when you started and you were in sort of your earlier sort of heyday, you survived, and you've actually grown with it. To become this credible artist, has that transition actually been an easy thing? Was it difficult to actually get people to take you seriously?
Personally, I think it's more like a miracle. It wasn't meant to be this way. I was meant to be like the others.
Yeah.
But somehow it happened, and I think there's a certain amount that we can kind of guesstimate why. That I have made a lot of changes. I've tried to vary the musical styles and the different ways that I would project myself, different images.
Yes.
But I think there's another, a large part of that is something that is very magical to me, and that's the fact that the audience have allowed me to do that. Because I think of how many artists might have the potential to go on and do any number of things, but they're never given the opportunity. Because it's such a fickle industry, you can just be cut off. And people do like to pigeonhole you in one area and say, well, that's what you are.
Yeah, especially the British press.
We can't possibly accept you as anything else. So I have so much gratitude, that I have been given these opportunities. And even when I've screwed up, even when I've made really hideous, embarrassing mistakes, I somehow they've let me get beyond that. And I'm quite happy not to know exactly why, because it's just one of those things that is, and I don't like to question it too much, because it's working perfectly well. But I think another important thing is that I don't take it for granted. I realize that I am very, very lucky.
And as I say, you've obviously been asked this. I wasn't too sure whether I should ask it, but obviously with Michael Hutchence's untimely death, how was that for you? Was that a very difficult thing to deal with?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, incredibly. I always, whenever people ask the question, I feel myself taking a big breath and thinking, okay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If there's any given moment, I could break into tears about it.
Yes.
But he was such a strong influence in my life. And the thing is that he still is. I think of him every day, and I'm sure he will continue being such an influence, even though I can have a conversation to him in my head, which I do. But yeah, for so many people that he did touch with his, he was just so charismatic and intelligent and funny and normal, and at the same time very special. He kind of, to me, he lives on. I mean, I accept that he has gone, but I feel him very, very strongly.
Great, yeah. And as I say, getting back to the album, what would you say? I mean, because of all the tracks, there is still that diversity within the album. If you sort of had to look forward and sort of select of the material that was on there, where would you sort of like to take the, where would you expand the music to?
Oh my God, good question. I would probably, just shifting on my chair. Probably like something like Too Far or Limbo. I mean, they're ones that kind of came very naturally and allowed me to get out some angst,
Okay.
for want of a better word.
Right.
Sounds a bit corny, but
No.
or something like Cowboy Style or Breathe. They're kind of more the songs in Manic Street Preachers really are Kylie and the Manics sound, which I think is great for the moment.
Yes.
But I don't intend on going down the road to a big shining guitar.
No. Because the interesting
I'd stay in the dance realm for sure.
Yes, because the interesting thing is that, as I say, this album, in a way, is the way I look at it is it's almost like a profile in one album of the possibilities that are still there for you. It's not to say that this album has got so many dimensions to it.
It's a Lazy Susan with samplers on it. Oh no! No, I know what you're saying though.
Yes, but I think it's got that because what I've actually done with the album is I do a show on college radio here, and I've played the album to a lot of typically cynical people, to anything, and I've said, look, I'm not telling you who this is. I'm going to play this to you, and the responses have been phenomenal.
That's great to hear.
Yes, yeah, and I think it's a positive sign that, as I say, that credibility is, you personally don't have to really talk anymore. The music will now do that for you.
Yeah, the fun thing is when I've been asked about different tracks, it's exactly as you say, the music is saying it and the lyrics are saying it, because I can explain the track, but I tend to just take I take a walk around the block and basically end up back at the same point, because the lyrics that I've chosen, to me, are the most succinct way of saying what I want to say.
Yeah.
So that's great to hear.
Well, I know you are short on time, Kylie. Could I ask you to do one sort of last favor for me? As I say, I do a show, and this will go out on the show, and the name of the show is The Cutting Edge. Would you could you say, as I say, obviously, hi, this is Kylie Minogue, and you're listening to The Cutting Edge?
Sure.
Whenever you're ready.
Hi, this is Kylie Minogue, and you're listening to Cutting Edge.
Lovely.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being so on time. I'm normally having to stay. Someone's at the door. No, now they're making big signs. Oops, bigger signs. Got to go.
Oh, shame. No, as I say, but no, I've been looking forward to this one. Believe me, I've.
Thank you.
And I do believe
it was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, and the album, I'm sure, will do wonderful things. And
thanks for your support.
No, great. So good luck with it all.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Take care. Bye.